Hello, welcome. How's everyone doing today? Happy Sunday. Just finished our 11:11 on Instagram. And for anybody new to, what we're doing here on Sacred Sunday, is 11:11. We go live on Instagram. Then at noon, you're here on Odyssey with me. Love this beautiful decentralized platform and so grateful for the opportunity to be on this beta. And then at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard, Coach Tristan hops on here and he shares about self-healing and using, some more magical spiritual tools and modalities in that space for the self-healing type of work. Uh, so, to get started, I guess let's ground in a little meditation exercise. Just make sure we get the most out of our time here today. There's a lot of questions that we've got and that we've been submitted to. So again, I want to thank you all for, putting it out there because whenever you're asking questions, it's so empowering. You're going to get so many different answers, and then it's your job to start integrating and find out your own truth from your own experience and for where it is that you are hoping to go and seeking to go, and whatever truth you're seeking in general. Also, in asking questions, you're helping the collective because not everybody feels comfortable asking questions just yet, and not everybody has clarity on what questions to even ask, especially in some of these realms. So, by you asking questions, it's actually helping the collective grow and expand as well. And it's not saying that I have all the answers either. The best I can do most times is just point you guys in the right direction. Though, in the conversation and having these conversations, especially around psychedelics, that's really what it's all about is just opening up our minds to more possibilities. And there are a lot of resources out there, a lot of experts in a lot of different areas. And I think it's so empowering that, everything that, everything's already been done in one way. Everything's already been healed. Everything's been written, everything's been turned into a song. Now is our time to integrate and find what is true for us in all of that's there. And there's a lot, right? This is the information age. So it makes it even more important to do these exercises, like just grounding in so that you can be focused, figure out what you want to get out of this time together or out of anything that you do. Have that intention practice. And so I'll guide you through that right now. If you all just want to close your eyes, get comfortable, loosen up your shoulders a bit because the truth is we're often holding on to so much and it's nice to just shake it off. Let it out. Take that weight off your shoulders. In fact, what I want you to do here is put your arms out and like as if we're gonna splash water on ourselves, we're gonna do this Kundalini yoga exercise. This is a great releasing energy. Water is so powerful, and so I always visualize using my third eye here of just splashing water on myself, bathing in a sense, bringing in the good, releasing what's old, outdated, no longer working, no longer feeling good. Sometimes we're in a relationship and things just feel so good and then, they expire. It's the same with, at one moment you may be watching a video game or playing a video game or watching a movie and it feels so good and exhilarating. And then after you've watched it a few times or after you've spent enough hours, it becomes boring and stagnant and old and you release it and you make room for that which is new. And so that's what we're doing in a practice like this. When you start to feel the burn, when you start to feel the pain, when you start saying or hearing that voice inside your head saying like, look, this is enough, you just push that little bit further, bring back your visualization to that third eye. Remember why you're here, why you're doing this, to ground in with intention, just making room, letting it go, and you can just Roll out your shoulders now. Relax your arms. A couple more deep breaths in through your nose, out through your mouth. And open your eyes. We'll tap in. We'll begin. Oh, thank you all so much for showing up. Got a cool list of questions. I want you guys to know I've just been going in order with these things, okay? Uh, as you're submitting them, it's not a pick and choose. It's just, uh, you know, what's coming in by order. So don't take it personally if we don't get to something right away, or again, if we are generalizing in any way. If you feel that we're generalizing the question or you didn't get your specific answer, if we were able to get to a question that you had at this particular time, and you feel that it's not for you or it's not the full answer, or maybe I didn't understand it properly, um, I'd love if you guys would reach back out to me with feedback. You can do so, Ashley@elementalgrowth.org, or if you take down my number here, it's 705-175-956-0647. And so you can just give me a text or send me an email, and I would love to get your feedback around it, and I'd love to help you get your specific question answered or get you the specific resources you need to answer the question on your own, because that's really what we're about here too, is teaching you how to fish, not giving you the fish. There's a lot of band-aid solutions out of there, and you can't fix everything with a band-aid. In fact, in my personal experience, band-aids can eat away at the skin. They can cause more damage. They can stop you from producing what it is that you need to, fight anything on your own, to have that immune system, to have that bodily intelligence. And so, yeah, I really encourage you guys, um, you know, keep doing this work, all right? So, uh, going into the questions, the first one is, can you really see in the dark? And let me say, I can. Um, this said, though, I'll be honest, I really care about the circadian rhythm. I love the circadian rhythm. That means rising and setting with the sun, staying in that mode for hormone health, because I spent over a decade in the hospitality and tourism industry. I didn't have a lot of parental supervision growing up. So my sleep pattern for most of my life was all over the place. And I had some hormonal issues and things like that that thankfully I've been able to overcome. Though because I've been rewarded, specifically thinking here, one of the rewards being giving birth to my son, conceiving a son that the doctor said would never come. I really do care about my hormone health, and I know the best way to do that is through circadian rhythm. And not only that and the benefits I've seen from it, but I've also seen the consequences when I get out of that rhythm. Uh, and so even though I can see in the dark, it's not something that I'm consistently practicing. I will tell you two ways that I've been able to do that. And one of them is when I was traveling South America. I was up in the mountains in Colombia, a little place called Sopo. I actually wrote an article long ago that's called A Piece of Sopo, because I feel that it's such a big piece of my heart now and a piece of my story. And so I was there, and I was with an artist and also like an entertainer, did some juggling and things like that. In Ecuador, would go around, yeah, just a really cool life. And he taught me a few little tricks around that. And one of them that he taught was just holding your like fists in your eyes, similar to this, making it really, really dark. And if it is dark, you just close your eyes. You don't necessarily have to make that much darker, but you're making the dark still darker. In this case, because it's day, you'd just be using your fist, making a really dark light, and just practice with that. And you start tapping into some of your other senses, and that really helps. Plus, if you're already in a dark area and you make it a little bit darker, your eyes, when you open them back up, it will look brighter because you're still going from dark to light, if that makes sense. So there's some little tips and tricks like that. Another one, and this is when I think you do seriously need a calling for this one because it's a really crazy warrior medicine. But Campbell frog medicine really helped me in so many ways. And one of the parts that or one of the other medicines that we work with when working with Kambo and sometimes even with ayahuasca is called Sananga, which is a plant. And they turn it into eye drops. It's very, very intense. If you go and purchase it, two things you want to watch out for is that they do expire and that you want to make sure it's a sustainable source that you can trust and that, they're not mixing it with other things to make it last longer because then you don't want whatever chemicals that is in your eyes. You want to be working with the plant itself. You want to make sure that it's a good source and you want to make sure you have a partner. I really do recommend having a practitioner doing this in a ceremony like with ayahuasca or Kambo if you're called to those medicines. That being said, maybe you're called to Sananga and not those medicines, and you do want to do this on your own, which you can do. Still have a partner because it's a very, very painful and you're not going to do it properly. You're not going to be able to take it. And maybe that's just me, but I do like to see myself as a strong person that can take a lot of pain. And there's no way I would have been able to do that by myself. So yeah, these medicines, how they help me to see in the dark is that Campbell really helps you do a lot of self-healing work, and warriors used to use it back in the day to be able to see in the dark, to tap into their other senses, and be able to go hunting and protect their villages and all these things. And I believe that more men and women are using this now to do ancestral type of warrior work, where we go back and we're like crusading, the I guess facing the fears of our past and crusading the patterns that keep repeating through family karma, through our own created karma. So yeah, very powerful work, great for ancestral healing and also for tapping into that inner warrior so that you can do both the spiritual realm work and the real life work. And it helps your body heal itself, tap into those natural healing abilities. And so when you're also using Sananga on top of that, you're focused on the eyes and you don't have a choice. Like Campbell's a very it lets you know that you have a body and that you're in your body. Sometimes when you're using medicines like psilocybin, you're like out of body, DMT out of body, and sometimes it's hard to come back. Kambo's the type of medicine. Cannabis is like this too, where it really grounds you, brings you in to your body, mainly like through also your breath because it's the heart chakra work. Um, but yeah, there's a lot to this kind of stuff. When it comes to the specific question of seeing in the dark, yes, I can do it. No, I don't practice it as much as I guess I could if that was my thing. I'm more into the dream work now, starting to work with lotus flowers more often, getting away from the cannabis, which helped me from night terrors, and moving into the lotus flowers, which help you more with lucid dreaming, which I do naturally, which is why night terrors were so terrifying and not exactly nightmares, but reoccurring terrors. And so, it's showing that these medicines have helped me get into my own inner warrior so that I can do this work and make that transition. Another fun thing about seeing in the dark is that when I am practicing, it's that my son actually looks at me like it's a superpower. And I really love to hone in on that and play with it with him and help him see these things for survival if ever he does need it. We don't necessarily get into all the spiritual stuff because he's already got such a great imagination. However, for the basic, survival in general, it's like you don't need the flashlight, you definitely don't need the screens. Let's work on how it is that we can stimulate your eyes so it can do this and you can have this superpower too. Because it is something that you can develop. Any of you guys can. So that was question number one. I'm gonna take a sip of water. A lot of talking the last couple hours already. Hmm. All right. So what else do we have? Quitting smoking. All right. So, how does psychedelics help quit smoking was the question, but I'm going to talk about quitting smoking in general because I know in our private community that there are many of you facing this right now. And also in my own my apartment right now is both my parents there, my stepdad and my mom, and they are both smokers. I have other places that I also spend my time. I'm not there very often, but I know when I am there, I can feel it in their energy, feel that they're really struggling with this as well, and at the same time as so many of our other members. So it's definitely something I'm grateful has come up so that we can discuss this. And this being said, I also want to give a shout out to one of our new members. You guys have met her in the group, so check it out or scroll up so that you can see. But she's offering some quitting smoking tips as well. So get in there and see what that's about. It would be very complimentary to, I guess, my answer around this and some of the things or ways that have helped me. And again, before fully answering this question, I want to add that most people, if they're about to quit smoking or want to quit smoking, it takes about 7 tries. So you can be quitting smoking for a long time. Don't devalue the process or yourself by saying that, you are a smoker or by identifying with it just because you sucked at quitting the first time or the second time or the third time. Keep in mind this might take 7, 13, 21 times. If your intention is to quit smoking, then identify with I am quitting smoking. Just that affirmation alone, drilling it into your mind over and over and over again, will eventually, over time, like how Jack Canfield said, if you go out to the field or to the forest with the dullest blade and just take one hack at a tree every single day, eventually that tree will come down. It might take a very long time that way, but if you focus on it and you're doing the mindset work and you're, empowering yourself to get out there and get out of bed, eventually as that tree gets closer and closer to coming down, you're giving more and more energy and momentum to it. This is your way of giving yourself positive reinforcement so that you can quit this habit. And it comes down to, what are you identifying with? Are you identifying with the failure that you've done this before? Or are you identifying with the fact that you're smoking right now and that that's your reality? Or are you going to identify with, I'm quitting? I'm quitting, I'm quitting, I'm quitting. No matter what else gets thrown at you, maybe you are lighting up a cigarette, but still tell yourself, I'm quitting. Maybe it's I'm quitting after this one. Maybe it's whatever. Just keep it going, or just I'm quitting in general. I think honestly, if you keep it simple as it can be, like Einstein said, as simple as it can be and no simpler, if you can just keep those 3 words, I am quitting. I am quitting. And you're saying those things over and over and over every single time you lay it up, every single time you think about the habit, every single time you feel triggered, every single time you say no, you're giving yourself positive reinforcement because you know the end goal is quitting smoking. So that's around number one, is you want to be empowering yourself, get this mindset work done. Okay. Number two on quitting smoking is that there are other tools out there that can help. So a lot of the time when we're facing addiction, and this sucks to say, like, this kind of hurts me to say, but it's also a blessing. Okay, it hurts me to say that oftentimes addicts will swap out one addiction for another. Here's why it's empowering. It's because you can hack that by making choices. Make a choice before your drifter mindset, like Napoleon Hill talked about, before that drifter comes in, and or somebody else's influence, whatever it is, comes in and gives you that thing you're going to substitute it with, which could sometimes be better, sometimes be worse. Make this decision consciously. What is it you're going to swap it out with? So I knew when I was quitting, the time that I was actually successful at it, I knew that there was that new opportunity for using vapes. I know a lot of people that have swapped out cigarettes for vapes without intention, and then they're on vaping for like 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. I know people who never smoked and got into the vape, and now they've been smoking or using the vape for 3, 4, 5 years. Some people who never smoked but then did poppers like 1 or 2 times, which is mixing it with weed or having it in a joint, and then they're like, I don't smoke. Meanwhile, they got this, tobacco is a great medicine, you guys, but what they're selling you is not. What they're selling you is death. What they're selling you is tobacco grown in radioactive fertilizer that's illegal for us to grow the natural stuff because now they've patented it. They add in it's grown with 21 different chemicals, and then they add in additives. Then they add in the flavors and the preservatives. This stuff is disgusting. You do not want it. You want to rebel against the man. Don't give them money to kill you. You know, there are other ways to use this medicine or other medicines to use. Tobacco, great. What they're doing, not so great. So I also agree that vaping, not so good either. This stuff is really, really addictive when there's nicotine, especially in the doses that are in the vapes. And even though it's not as many chemicals, some of the chemicals in the vapes are the same, like that are in the cigarettes too. Some of them are, and some of them are worse, and some of them are better. That's all drama. I don't care about that today. I'm just going to give you the data here, okay? And the data is no matter what, we're going to substitute out as an addict one thing for another. So make the conscious choice of what that's going to be. What I made that was a vape. It was really new at the time. The vape juice that I was getting was I just kept lowering the tobacco because I did it with intention, right? And here's another tip. I made sure that the stuff that I was using, it was like very few ingredients. I think it was only glycerin plus a flavor, and I made sure that my flavors were like a more natural thing, whether they actually truly were or not. Chances are it was really bad for me. I'll take that. I still quit. In 6 months, I quit and I never ever went back. Here was my trick. My trick wasn't just swapping it out and making the decision. That was great. It was that I even added to that. I habit stacked. I made it that not only was I decreasing the nicotine with it and doing that with intention, I gave myself a reason, a why that was intentional. And that was because I gave myself another task to do other than smoking, which was to learn the vape tricks. So I got into watching a few videos, different things I could do. So then I was trading the habit for something else. And if you want to, then the habit became like a game. How good can I get at this, right? So then there was also a reward. I was getting the dopamine hit for winning the challenge. And I also had to decrease my nicotine the whole time because if you want to get really good at vape tricks and you're vaping, you don't want that nicotine in it because it hurts your throat. It becomes too much. You get headaches, you get all these other things. And so once I got down to zero nicotine and I learned a few tricks, I was able to be like, I'm done. And I never ever went back. Here is number three, the other tool that I used, and that was psilocybin mushrooms. And because of this one, helping it repattern myself and doing these other things to like change my habits, swap them out for different things. The psilocybin made it so that I can be around smokers and not want it. I've heard of people that are like, oh, I've quit for 20 years. And if someone still came to me with a cigarette, I'd still want it. Or I've quit for like 30 years, but when I drink that one time a year, I still have a cigarette with it. And it's like, well, that's still not sustainable. Yeah, sure, it's better, it's great, but it still got you. You're not free, I guess is the real thing there. You're not free of it. It's still out of your control. Even though most of the time you can have it under control, it's still, to me, that's not freedom. I still feel like there's a restriction there, especially if you're talking about it to a coach. So, um, here's the other thing. Working with psilocybin mushrooms, at large doses. I was working with the hero dose at this time, 5 grams of psilocybin mushrooms, and doing the integration work and swapping the habits and, going through all the reasons why I was smoking, all the reasons why I want to quit, reinforcing my why. In that, I and working with the psilocybin, it really did help my brain reprogram to the point that I can be around people smoking cigarettes and be around them. I don't want to vomit or make a big deal out of them smoking. I don't feel the need to. I feel that my life is and my success is portrays that enough without it. That and I don't feel that need to do any of it. I also never feel the need to grab a cigarette. I never feel the need to touch it or to be around it or to purchase it or to contribute or it's literally it's like that disassociation that we can have, you know, if we've been molested or raped or anything like that, we can disassociate from different things. If you have a traumatic experience, you can disassociate. You have CPTSD, like complex trauma, you can disassociate. What this psilocybin helped me do was become real with myself and disassociate with the actual habit, the actual addiction. So now it's like I literally don't see it. It's literally nothing to me. And I think I feel that that is freeing. And the next question, oh, actually, there's a few of them around quitting stuff. So I'll break it up. But I did want to add before I move into the next one that this same thing happened to me when it came to quitting drinking. And I'll get into that as I move through the questions because that is on here. Um, so yeah, basically though, I can be around alcohol and not want that drink, not take that drink, not anything. Here's the thing, if I decide and make the decision that I want that drink, I legitimately get the hangover instantly. My body remembers that hangover, and so to not make it real, it gives me that feeling beforehand. And I can be around the drinking without not ever wanting it or needing it, even if it wasn't for that feeling. Those times is like I literally do want to cheers, but then it says like my body will tell me one sip is enough instead of it being one drink isn't enough and two drinks is too many. It is, or two drinks is never enough either. Talking from an alcoholic, but this. This being said, I truly more identify with recovery. I truly do more identify with the freedom from these addictions. All right, so I'll move into the next one. All right. What else do we got here? All right. So talk about Facebook addiction or like the scrolling. It's mentioning around like Facebook, all this stuff, the addiction. And I know who this question's coming from. It wasn't necessarily about them. This person who submitted this question doesn't have a Facebook. I don't even have one of those anymore either, but this is a really relevant topic. Because this girl's thing is that she was seeing addiction in other people and didn't know how to bring this up or if that even is what it is. So here's my first answer, and then I'll get into the actual Facebook addiction stuff in general. But I want to give you the resource. The Social Dilemma is a beautifully well done documentary around this kind of stuff that what social media does. It talks on Instagram, Facebook, a lot of them, and Facebook. For anybody who doesn't know, does own Instagram now. This is why we're seeing more advertisements. This is why there's more censorship. This is why you can't access all the music you used to be able to, and why it's, you know, into just like a few songs that they pick. Um, you know, there's a lot going on here. Um, so sticking again to just the data for today, this Facebook addiction stuff is really real, you guys. And I'm sure you've seen it for yourself. The average person is picking up their phone over 100 times a day, swiping their screen just to open up. And then they have these notification buttons. And of course, we automatically want to check them because we don't want them to be there. And even if we turn it off, it's like all automatically done. And then we turn the app on anyway because we're already programmed to do so so many times in a day. You know, it really is kind of like a human experiment. It's a very um it triggers a lot of unhealthy attitudes and behaviors and mindsets. to say the least, and it is addicting because we're getting a dopamine hit. Like there are real people that have been trained in psychology and dopamine hits and gambling and all that that are actually in place to get you to check these things more often. This is not your fault. You know, the odds are stacked against you. The odds are stacked against your kids and your grandma. You know, this is a really serious thing that does need to be talked about more often. Before getting into this conversation, if it's somewhere that you want to dwell into more often and even into how I've gotten out of some of these situations myself, how it is that we are actively working as a business and as a team uh, to be successful without, um, or I guess not without the social media, but with making it that it's more business media, making it that it's with intention, not controlling our lives. Like we literally have set hours that each person goes in. We don't overdo it. You know, it doesn't consume us. And we take whatever we consume and turn it in, repurpose it and integrate it right away. So it's not a whole bunch coming at us. It was not like them taking the energy and taking us down all these rabbit holes, creating more ADD, you know, making us less productive, all these things. And so when it comes to video games, Facebook, and all of these other social media outlets, this is a real big deal, you guys. It is important to quit. It's also important if you can't quit because of your business or because it's how you're connected with people and it just seems like too big of a loss, then you need to create some boundaries around it because chances are you're already addicted. Chances are your kids are addicted. Chances are your grandma and papa are addicted to these things. This is all around the table, no matter the age, no matter the gender, no matter the race. This is real. So I want to solidify that for you. This is real. This is not imaginary. You know, it really does build up on ego and cause a lot of mental health issues that aren't necessarily seen. It causes a lot of addictions when it comes to gaming, comes to even consumerism, another one, like a whole deep rabbit hole that we can go into as well. You know, there's a lot here. So I just want to leave you with right now at this point in the game, the movie, A Social Dilemma. Like, take that, watch it, send it to everybody you know, um, and know that you're not imagining this thing. You know, it is real and it's bigger than any of us can even think on right now. So coming back to even big picture here and you know if that's what it is that this is about, then it still even then comes down to us taking individual responsibility for ourselves and our family and learning to have these conversations and learning how to set those boundaries. I'm going to move into the next one, which is around drinking, so we can kind of hopefully tie in all of these quitting questions in each other. And here's another thing. I the words written here are quit, but I want to empower you for a second to understand that even that word quit something, you're identifying with being a quitter, and that creates a paradox inside of yourself of you are a quitter and then when you want to be successful or stay committed to something long term, that you're already identified with a quitter. So it means even more work to change that mindset. So let's take quitting completely out of it. Okay. Disassociate with the quitter, associate with the drifter, all that kind of stuff. Okay. Let's instead bring it back to healing and recovery. You know that whether it's smoking or social media or drinking or crack or heroin or opiates or yelling or whatever it is, drinking, like whatever it is, sex, porn, video games, I don't care. There's a lot of things you can be addicted to here. Sugar, man, whatever it is, this is not about quitting or being a quitter. This is about healing and recovery. This is about finding the roots and dissolving the dissonance between where you're at now and where you want to be. This is releasing the demons that are keeping you stagnant or keeping you unwell or holding you back. you know, Let all that go. This is about let go. This is about forgiveness. This is about peace. This is about serenity. These are the things to identify with, not the quitter. Okay? Please empower yourself with that mindset shift. All right? I love you too much to have you thinking of yourself as a quitter while you're quitting something that's not serving you. It's just not the right word. It creates a paradox. All right? So, healing and recovering from alcohol. What a big one. A lot of the time, it's not even you. A lot of the time, it's passed down ancestrally. You saw it in your life as a mechanism or as a way to celebrate or as a way to nurse pains. And you adapted the habit. You're repeating a pattern because it's your work to fix it. Your parents weren't able to fix it, they passed it to you. It's a bit of a burden, but you're stronger, you're smarter, you're wiser, you're more equipped because you've seen their mistakes and you can learn from them. And so now is your time to not victimize yourself by the karma, but instead empower yourself, liberate yourself, take full 100% responsibility, and gain that freedom, the Toltec path to freedom. Get on that road to freedom by just releasing yourself, putting yourself into recovery, healing yourself a lot, getting out of your own way so that your body can do its own magic and heal itself. It's such a miraculous tool. What a vessel, what a privilege we have to have a body. And when it comes to cigarettes and alcohol and even gaming or social media, we're just sitting stagnant, doing fucking nothing, getting lost in this other world. Smoking, drinking, we're harming our body by consuming all of it. Whew, let it go. Let it all go. Let it all go. All right, you guys, let's heal. Let's recover. I myself, for me, it was exactly that. It was a trained behavior, and I started really young because alcohol was always around. Um, Boyfriends would drop off alcohol for my mom. My mom and her friends would leave stuff out. Um, and as the ages went, it just became that thing. Oh, I feel pain, I'll drink it away. Oh, I'm having fun, I'm gonna drink to enjoy it more. And it just became, especially because I also went to school for hospitality and tourism, because I spent, a decade traveling around, working different places in that industry. It really was my whole life. I worked as much as I could, and when I wasn't working, I was partying, and or even worse, hosting the party. Because then I'm enabling that itself. I was avoiding taking responsibility. I was avoiding being alone. I was avoiding it's so much. I was avoiding so much pain that I didn't even know how to metabolize because I never was taught. I was taught alcohol. And when I was able to take responsibility and see it for what it was, that it was a job for me to do, a job that was going to help. I was gifted the opportunity to be a mom in that. And just, I can't even express to you how freeing that is to actually successfully quit drinking. So I empower you. Do this thing. If you're called to do it, do it. And there are many ways that you can do it, but the most important thing is to own that it's your work to do. The most important thing is committing, understanding your why. Why are you doing this? Chances are you're a very important person. Chances are you're more important than you know. Whether it's that you're important because of your job or because you're a parent, which is a very important job, or a grandparent, again, a very important job. Um, you know, maybe it's that you're meant to be in service for other people, and that's what makes it important, because you know that there's a higher potential there, a higher purpose for you. You just feel so out of alignment with that. It feels almost impossible at this point. Just allow that to solidify and become your why, so that you can be more aligned to where it is that you're actually meant to be, because you're living here at this dynamic time for a real good reason. So in my practice, obviously, psychedelics are a big part of that. Indigenous medicines and theogenic medicines, they are really here for us. They teach us what work is ours to do. They show us that we really truly are loved and guided and protected. They they allow us to really feel that and solidify into that, so that we can start reprogramming our mind and start doing that work that is ours to do. And this is where the integration part comes in, you guys. This is not some magic pill that's just going to stop you from drinking. However, don't rule that out, because it will help you stop. You still have to be doing that work. You still have to face whatever demons those were. You still have to face the hangovers. You still have to face the withdrawals. You still have to face the fact that you're going to pick up a drink again and again and again, only you're doing it with more embarrassment. Is true, but you're also facing it. You also have more awareness, which is what I had meant to say. But trust that the failure is part of the process, okay? Know that it's gonna happen and still stay committed to the path. Know that this is gonna be hard. It's not gonna feel good, but that you can bring some humor and you can bring the light to it, because you are becoming more soulful. The more you detox out this demon, the spirit, that spirit that is keeping you stuck or in a pattern, what you at one point in time thought is keeping you safe, is now no longer serving you. And now you need to face it, because now you're old enough, mature enough, wise enough, you have more tools, and you get to face this. It's happening for you, not to you. And so so in that, you also have to find these other integration tools to help you. So that would come into more of the stuff like proper nutrition, like exercise, physical activity, to literally move the feelings out of you, to literally metabolize the feelings. Feel it, free it. And movement helps you do that. So having a physical activity practice, some other things would be support, whether that's through journaling or community like we have in our private community, which is free to all you guys, by the way. We just ask a 10-minute call. That way we're able to protect the privacy of everybody else, make sure you really truly are, doing this work. And if not, we can point you in the right direction. We're not just going to take your time for nothing. We'll point you in the right direction, or we'll add you to the community. It's simple as that. Yeah. Um, so yeah, you can get in there, connect there. Maybe there's another community. Maybe it's talk therapy. Maybe it's personalized coaching, which again, you can do through us or the million other coaches that are out there. Maybe this is by sitting with the medicine, on the new and full moon. Maybe this is by doing witchcraft on the new and full moon. Whatever this really is for you. Maybe it's journaling every day. Maybe it's getting with a coach like us, where we're doing the Trinity text every day, holding you accountable to telling us your fears and your negative thoughts, holding you accountable to telling us what feels good, what you're grateful for in your life, holding you accountable to the action steps you're taking every day. Maybe it's something like that that you need, that's going to be really beneficial. Maybe it's a best friend going through the process with you, or someone from AA, that's going through this and hold you accountable in those ways. Regardless, you guys, let me just tell you, if quitting drinking is in your story, you're gonna do it. So identify with with quitting. Here we go again with that quitting. Identify yourself with being in healing and recovery, not with being the failure, not with being the person who's tried and failed, not with being the alcoholic, not with any of that negative shit. Get it out. Let it all out. I'm sure you fucked up a lot of shit in your life. Guess what? You're further ahead than most people, because you've taken action in your life. Own that. own how far you've come, all you've done in your life. You made a lot of mistakes. Great. You've learned a lot of lessons too. Right. We've got about 10 minutes left here, so I'll wrap it up with a couple more questions. And then I'm going to say goodbye and go into my own yoga practice with my son because I, too, still have emotions that come up from time to time. It doesn't cause me to drink. Drinking's not in my realm at all anymore, as I had said previously. And this has been ongoing for years now, where even if I do sit down to have a cheers with somebody over wine, because I can do that, I literally most of the time say no because I like literally don't want it or it's not the right time. But there has been a couple times like a cheers of red wine, homemade red wine at that. Um, for for Christmas, and it's like, yeah, sure, I can have a sip, but it's at that sip is enough. I literally put it down or I feel the feelings of a hangover. I start, it's literally not something in my life anymore. That being said, I still heal from complex trauma. I'm still in the healing and recovery of that deeper, darker stuff. There was a lot there that I covered up with the drinking, and I'm still working through those things. And so, working my body through Kundalini yoga, especially a practice that I get to play with my son in, it's just a beautiful way to let go and to laugh and, and bring the healing energy in. Take another sip. I'll get into the next couple questions, okay? All right. So the next one was around what are your favorite natural alternatives? This makes sense as a question called the Queen of Natural Alternatives, by many of my friends and family. Just joking around. It was kind of like one of those, I don't know, I guess making fun of me kind of things. But I did end up taking that name and making one of my first businesses, Ashley's Natural Alternatives, where I sold products in a couple local stores, and people would just come to my house and ask me for deodorants and refills on different things and teas and just alternatives for whatever. That was just, I guess, what I was known with, and called the queen of that realm. And so there are lots of them. It depends on the person, whoever's asking me what are my favorite alternatives. I wouldn't have an answer. It's like, tell me instead what's ailing you, and I'll tell you my favorites for that one specific thing, and probably give you way too much information on and too many resources. But that's how much I care and have passion for these subjects. Some of the things, if to change this question and just say, what are the favorite ones that have helped me in my own healing practice, would be, an alternative to any psych meds is psilocybin mushrooms. An alternative to relationship therapy, maybe MDMA. My favorite to for hormone health would be anything in the adaptogen. It's for stress, the nervous system, anything like that. I would say get on the adaptogenic herbs, which may include medicinal mushrooms, also different roots like maca and ashwagandha and things like that. There are also leafy herbs that help in our adaptogens like Gutukola, Ginkgo biloba, Tulsi or holy basil, which is one that really in our diet right now. And then another alternative when it comes to hormone health or anything in general is not even an alternative, is the solution. It's getting in alignment with nature. And this I wrote about in my book, Be the Change, Your Guide to Elemental Growth. This is literally what I do in every area of my life, from business to self-healing to parenting to everything, is being in alignment with nature's cyclical cycles, being in alignment with the moon cycles, being in alignment with the seasons. So that means eating in the season. That means changing your physical activity with the season. That means, you know, preparing your body with the way that nature would. That means having your practices and spiritual practices be alignment with Mama Nature too. Like this fall season being around release, give that release, especially around the full moons. Really let it all go. It's all good. What fall teaches us, you guys, is that death brings rebirth, that you can literally let go of every single leaf, work on your root system in the winter, and come summer, whatever is meant for you will bloom. Spring, it will all bloom. And summer, you get to, see the beauty of it all. And fall, you get to reap what you sow, you get to harvest, and you get to let it all fucking go again. This is a beautiful cycle. And we get to do this every month instead of season, bringing it down even smaller every month with the new and full moon, the 8 moon phases, actually. And then we can even bring this into our day, which is, in the morning we're rising. This is the spring. And in the nighttime when we're sleeping, that's the winter. There's this is such a fractal, right? Great for psychonauts like ourselves. But this is it. Go get my book, Be the Change, Your Guide to Elemental Growth. It'll guide you through an entire year of how to use nature to heal. That's how I do my integration work. That's how I live my life. That's everything. To give you guys a heads up, we do have a new book coming out called Rebirth for the solstice, the winter solstice coming up in December. And then following that for the new year, we're going to give you seasonal guides, 100 pages every season, so you guys can really do this work in an easier, more edible way, make it really yummy, simple, and easy to digest for you guys. And also keep it so that you're not thinking about all the seasons. You're thinking about the one specific time, so you can stay accountable in that way. And I'm really excited for all of that. These are my natural alternatives, my answer to that question. Got about 5 minutes left, then I'm going to go do yoga with Finn. I'm so excited for that. I also really have to go to the bathroom because I've drank about like half a thing of water. I could use that too. So one more question, you guys, and then I'm going to say goodbye to you beautiful souls and catch up with you next Sunday or in our Signal group. I'll leave all that information in the comments for anybody who's unfamiliar. All right. So the next one. Ooh, fun. Uh, this kind of, in a sense, is like so spiritually out there that it wouldn't have anything to do with anything we talked about today. But being the spiritual being I am, I actually see how it all ties it in together and why, through synchronicity, this may be the one thing we need to say goodbye today. So I love it, and I love that it just, yeah, is here in this order. All right. Uh, Cord cutting. This was specific to cord cutting for entities. When you feel like, oh my God, I must be cursed, bad thing after bad thing after bad thing, or maybe you had a bunch of bad people in your life and you just believe in spirituality and that there's such thing as spelling, and you know that they're saying negative things about you, and somehow because your cords are open and still attached to that person, that you would be letting in that negative energy. You'd be letting in those curses and those spells and all that negativity. So we want to cut the cords off. Here's the thing, why I believe it wraps everything in together today is because you can cut cords on your addictions, on your habits, and your behaviors as well. And, if you're thinking about plants in the fall season, you can cut off all that's dead, cut it all off. Cut off the people that are harming you, cut off the thoughts that are harming you, cut it all off. Cut off those freaking entities that are on you, weighing you down or holding you back, or the ones that are in front of you just causing fear. Um, the ones when you close your eyes, and you feel like you can't be alone because you're unsafe in your own home, in your own vessel. You're not alone there. And so you want to cut all this shit off. You want to get it out, get it out, get it out. So just start thinking about it like how the trees are letting go of all their leaves. Move your body in that way, actually. Like, that's one thing you can do. Cleanse your aura field. One trick I'll show you here from Kundalini Yoga. Arms above your head, and you want to vibrate your hands, not touching, you're leaving a little bit of space. It doesn't take very long of doing this, especially as high above your head as you can, because at the same time, you're draining all the lymphatic system from your shoulders and releasing all that out, which opens up your heart. There's so many benefits to this. All right, so you bring them in, you're vibrating them, you're creating a lot of energy there. You'll start to physically feel the energy. And you use that, cleanse your aura. And you can visualize with your third eye here that as you're cleansing your aura, you're literally chopping off anything that's no longer serving you and creating a protective barrier around you. Some of the work that Tristan does to counteract any spells, any of the negativity that people may be speaking about you, if you're an entrepreneur and you're doing magnetic marketing, you're going to repel a bunch of people. There's going to be a lot of haters, people reporting you, people that aren't happy with your success, people trying to sabotage you. There's also going to be a lot of love. And you need to trust that when you're cutting the cords, cleansing your aura, making that boundary, making that protective field around you, that you are going to repel that negativity. But then, like the leaves blossoming in the spring, what's meant to grow will come back to you. That's already yours. Everything you already want is already yours. It's just waiting for you to allow, which means you have to raise your energy higher than those other entities. And you can do that by protecting yourself, by cutting off everything and trusting that's what's meant for you is waiting for you. All right. So I'm going to leave you guys with that. Please, please, please hop on, check out Tristan's live at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I am going to tell him where we left off here with this question on cord cutting and entities. I'm also going to link my video meditation for cord cutting for addiction people, places, if you want to change your environments. I'm going to share that link in the description of this video. Also, I'm going to let Tristan know for his live at 5 that this is where we left off because he has some great tips and tricks for counteracting those spellings, as I said. So he's going to be really excited to hear that too because he's always waiting to get more into like some of this, mystic stuff, like some of this beautiful magic that we have and can tap into. So I invite you to that tonight. I'm going to say goodbye. I love you all so much. Have a wonderful evening. Bye.